That is curious.
All right, now you know the routines. We're in chapter 3 now. Let's apply a more challenging beat. You're going to discover soon how quickly a medium level beat becomes a whole new world in itself when you walk through all these different permutations. So here we have the intermediate rock beat 171, back to class 1 again. Here's the beat that we will be unfolding for the rest of this chapter, just like we did in the last chapter. Everything is the same procedure-wise. Let's see what we discover. So remember, this is a class 1 beat, which means quarter notes in the hi-hat. And right now we're going to examine, again, we're going to start with the check pattern, which is just the first stage. We're going to open that up into a matrix, which is the second stage, and then we're going to break down all of those routines, which is the final stage. So let's follow that same logic through class 1A. All right, now we're taking a look at the Class 1B check pattern. Remember, 1B is quarter notes, but now you're on the upbeat. So now we're going to take that 1B check pattern and plug it into the 16 measure routine. And for this routine, I'm going to have the drummer put it on the ride, just because it's going to come up in a normal song. I'm just going to give you kind of an example of how these patterns, although they're written on the hi-hat, don't necessarily need to be on the hi-hat. This one just so happens to lend itself well to the ride. And the beats in this book are, the template for what you can do on the kit. So you're free later on to explore and kind of go to the ride or go to the toms and enjoy. So now we're taking a look at Class 1B. Here is the matrix, or again, some people call it the grid. The matrix, the routines, and the fast track at the end. All right, Rock Beat 171, Class 2. Remember, Class 2 is with eighth notes, and you're probably seeing now that the beat looks a little bit different because in order to write it in a way that's easier to read, it makes it look not like what it looked like in Class 1, but I assure you it's the same beat. Remember, try not to read through this book as if you're looking at a bunch of ink, to read from left to right. I mean, at first it might be that way, but eventually you're going to want to simplify the way that you drill these beats. And when you understand mentally the adaptations that you're drilling, it will reduce a lot of unnecessary complexity. So we're going to follow the same logic as we did in Chapter 2. We'll begin with the check pattern routine, the check pattern routine for Class 2, followed by the matrices for Class 2A and their respective routines, and the fast track after that. And just like in chapter 2, we're going to move on to class 2B, which means you're opening and closing the hi-hat 4 times each measure instead of just once. And then we're going to go to class 2B prime, which means you're opening the hi-hat and then closing the hi-hat with your foot without playing the right hand simultaneously. Here are the matrices and the respective 16 measure routines for the class 2B section and 2B prime. And at the end of that, you'll see the fast track for the entire second class, like you did in the last chapter. And now we are wrapping up this chapter. We're in class 3, 16th notes on the hi-hat. Again, I'll remind you, these are notated in green if I didn't say that already. All class 3 beats are in green. And you will notice that some of the hi-hat notes, again, are removed at medium and fast tempos. The beat will play a little more fluidly without having to play the hi-hat and snare together. So reading the beat will look a little bit different as well. Here is your check pattern routine for rock beat 171, class 3. When you're dealing with a beat that is a little more complex than a level 1 rock pop beginner foundation beat, drilling accents in permutation form in class 3 is more of an exercise like we talked about, and it can very quickly become a kind of too many cooks in the kitchen scenario. So the important thing, like we said before, is the ability to switch to a class 3 suddenly over the foundational beat, and to learn where to omit those hi-hat strikes and where the hands switch back and forth and stuff. So to save time, I'm just going to gloss over the matrix and the routine parts for 3A, and we'll just go straight to the fast track.